Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I am your host for tonight and every other night, the Articulate Thinker. Hopefully, here to bring you art articles and articulation straight from Articulation Station. So be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. If you like it, put a ring on it. Sharing is caring, all that other good stuff. But enough about me. Well, let me see. Let me talk some more about me. I noticed that I have a few new subscribers to this channel. Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And I am going to try to keep this show as simple as possible. My shows have been few and far between as of late. I'm going to cover something which has already been covered ad nauseum over the last few days. It broke a few days ago. An update in the case of the cocaine at the White House, the extra white White House, the powdery white White House. Courtesy of the Biden family or whoever happened to place said cocaine there in its very secured location. And that's what I would like to know. That's what I would like for you to tell me. If you know, feel free to disagree with me on anything I may say. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you know. Let me know in the comments below. Who did it? Who done it? And who spun it, right? Because this is relevant, though more important things are happening in the world right now. It is still relevant because, on the one hand, say the Secret Service does, the White House does know who placed the cocaine in its cubby corner in the White House. Well, they are engaged in a cover-up then. And that's not good. That is relevant. On the other hand, suppose they really don't know who did it, who done it, who placed it there in its cubby corner in the White House. That is still relevant because it could have been something much more hazardous, a hazardous powder, anthrax, or whatever else people are into these days. Yeah. Concerning stuff, I'd say. And it's also concerning considering that we still don't know who placed the pipe bombs in that vicinity on January 6th. For even further back in time, of course, the cocaine was found in the White House back in July of this year or so. Not a whole lot of time has transpired in the grand theme of things, the grand scheme of things. But considering the investigation was wrapped up in approximately 11 days without any conclusion, any actual conclusion, unless they were putting the con in conclusion, I think some questions remain. And especially since the Daily Mail put in a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, and received some photos. I'll show you those momentarily, but let me read this headline from Fox News, and this isn't breaking news. Like I said, if I indeed said, I can't even remember anymore. This was making its rounds a few days ago. I never talked about it. I've just had the tabs pulled up and thought, why not talk about it before I call it a night? I need to get some rest. Don't mean to get lost in the weeds here. But I was at the skate park earlier on my lunch break. Had to stop by the bank. Didn't really have time to come home after that. So I just went to the skate park, which is near where I work. I was skateboarding around. I ended up hurting my knee. A lot of pain. A lot of pain the rest of the day, especially the work day. Had to go back to work and stand on it for several hours. And I could barely stand at the end of that. So I've been sitting around all evening. The pain is suddenly, or at least finally, subsiding. It does feel a bit sudden, but yeah, I feel pretty good right now. It's just that I'm now too tired to put much thought into this, so if I seem a bit absent-minded, my apologies. Or lost in the weeds, as I said. So, let me get this train back on track here. Talking about the newly released photos which show mysterious cocaine being discovered in the White House. This is a headline from Fox News. The discovery launched an investigation by the Secret Service that was later closed without identifying a suspect. I don't care to read through this article from Fox News. I'm going to pull up the actual Daily Mail article so we can see it. To believe it, hear it from the horse's mouth. But here are the photos, which are in the Daily Mail article, but also seen here on Raw's Alerts X account. Breaking: photos of cocaine found in a phone locker in the White House this summer have been released. There's a typo there. Photo 1. A little baggie. Just a little baggie. Could have Hunter Biden's name written all over it. Doesn't literally, but I'm just saying it could. It could. Here's the thing. When there's a family member who has notoriously been addicted for many years to this very substance, speculation might lead one to believe that he could achieve such a thing as to place, well, cocaine exactly where it was found. A measurement, a tag of some sort, narc cocaine, ID swipe, blah, 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 blah. Can't even read most of the writing on that. The date, back in July, West Wing, unknown powder. Well, it became known courtesy of the labs or at the FBI. DOJ had a hand in this as well. Of course, the Secret Service said what we know, and that's all we know. But since there is not much to go on, I'm going to go on and question this, especially considering how this is what we were being told before the investigation wrapped up. This was what Karine Jean-Pierre was saying from the White House press briefing podium at the time, propaganda briefing podium at the time, because she is the propaganda secretary after all. Here's what she had to say.
I just don't have anything more to share. It is under investigation by the Secret Service. This is in their purview, and so we're going to allow certainly the investigation to continue, and we have confidence that the Secret Service will get to the bottom of this. Go ahead. Well, I just said that we have confidence that the Secret Service is going to get to the bottom of this. As you all know, we have confidence that they will get to the bottom of this. Let's see exactly what occurred and what happened.
Yes.
They're going to get to the bottom of this, they meaning the Secret Service. Let's let the Secret Service do their job, which we believe, and have all the confidence that they will get to the bottom of this. It is under investigation. We're going to get to the bottom to exactly what happened. The Secret Service will, not us, and they are going to investigate and get to the bottom of what happened this weekend. There is investigation. They're going to get to the bottom of this. Let the Secret Service do their job. It's under their purview. We are confident that they'll get to the bottom of it. I'm just not going to get ahead of this right this time. They will have more specifics down the road. Let's let the Secret Service get to the bottom of this. They'll have hopefully more information, and we have confidence that they will be able to figure this all out. So I'm going to give them the space to do that. This is being investigated. It's under the purview of the Secret Service. We're going to let them get to the bottom of this and see what happened. I'm just not going to get ahead of it. Secret Service is getting to the bottom of it, and that's what matters, and it's under their purview. The president thinks it's very important to get to the bottom of this. That's why Secret Service, which is under their purview, is looking into this. So the president thinks it is incredibly important to get to the bottom of it.
So if they don't...
Spoken like a broken record. On and on and on and on and on. So she assured us all that the Secret Service was going to get to the bottom of it. Of course, they never did, and now they never talk about it anymore. We should be considering... Coulda, shoulda, woulda. But, yeah, you'd think it would be concerning to them that someone could sneak in such a substance into the White House without their knowledge. Or was it without their knowledge? Huh. Very, very interesting. My brain is shutting down as I speak. So yes, if I have any more malfunctions, that is why. It is very late. Very early in the morning, actually. What is it? after 2 o'clock in the morning. Here is the official statement on the investigation of the substance found in the White House, published by U.S. Secret Service Media Relations on July the 13th of this year. So just days after Karine Jean-Pierre made all of those nonsensical statements. Well, they wrapped it up and they said, nothing to see here. On the evening of July 2, officers from the U.S. Secret Service Uniform Division found an unknown substance inside a vestibule leading to the lobby area of the West Executive Avenue entrance to the White House, the extra white White House, the powdery white White House. The substance was located inside a receptacle used to temporarily store electronic and personal devices prior to entering the West Wing. Following the discovery, safety closures were implemented around the White House. This response was designed to ensure that the found substance was not a chemical or radiological material that threatened the security of the White House. As such, the substance was field tested and preliminarily determined to not be a hazardous compound. A testing conducted by the District of Columbia Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department indicated that the found powder tested preliminarily positive for the presence of cocaine. Who'd have thunk it? The substance and packaging were treated as evidence and sent to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasures Center, which analyzed the item for any biothreats. Tests conducted at this facility came back negative and gave formal confirmation that the substance was not biological in nature. So yes, Department of Homeland Security. I might have said Department of Justice earlier. Bit of a distinction there. The substance and packaging underwent further forensic testing. The substance was analyzed for its chemical composition. The packaging was subjected to advanced fingerprint and DNA analysis. Both of these analyses were conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI's crime laboratory, given their expertise in this area and independence from the investigation. So if this did trace back to the Bidens, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice for that matter, they all have a bit of a history protecting the Bidens. They kind of work hand in hand at this point too, so that's no surprise. So I wouldn't put anything past them. I'm not one to trust them. Now I'm not one to spread conspiracy theories, so I'm not going to claim anything definitively. But I'm just saying, in such a secure location, where they prioritize everyone's safety and security, except for when they don't. You'd think they'd have a video security camera footage somewhere. You'd think. You would think they could interview a few more, not suspects, but individuals who were there during that time frame. Remember, at the time, one of Karine Jean-Pierre and the Biden administration's talking points was, well, the Bidens had nothing to do with it. They weren't there at the time. Well, they were there a couple of days before, like 2 days before. Hunter Biden was there a couple of days before, like 2 days before. And I always pointed out that it was kind of ridiculous for the Biden administration to be arguing on the one hand, well, it's so unsecure there that literally anyone could have slipped it in there into the White House and left it. Who knows who it was? That's how unsecure the area is. But on the other hand, it's so super duper secure that it couldn't have possibly been there for 2 days if Hunter Biden had left it there. If one of the Bidens had left it there. Keep in mind, Hunter Biden's not the only Biden family member with a history of drug use. But they would argue, it's irresponsible, it's dangerous to report, to speculate that it could have come from the Bidens. This is what KJP was saying. She was criticizing the press for asking questions at one point about whether or not it could have possibly come from a Biden family member, one particular. And she was saying, they weren't even there at the time. Well, once upon a time, the cocaine wasn't there either. But it got there somehow. And you don't know how. Meaning the area is not very secure. Meaning it could have been there for more than the very moment in which it was found. Duh. So someone at some point had to take it in there. And I'm just saying, I'm suspicious. I have my sneaking suspicions because they are sneaky. And so you have to have your suspicions. There's another brain malfunction there. I told you I was going to have another brain malfunction. Shut down. Beep, boop, bop. All right. Sorry if all this text is making you dizzy. I could have made my face bigger while I was rambling on. Back to the press release from the Secret Service themselves. Here on www.secretservice.gov newsroom releases. All right, so while waiting for the FBI's results, the Secret Service investigation into how this item entered the White House continued. Sorry if I butchered that sentence. The investigation included a methodical review, very methodical, of security systems and protocols. The review included a backwards examination that spanned several days prior to the discovery of the substance and developed an index of several hundred individuals who may have accessed the area where the substance was found. May have. Oh. So I would like to know who was in that pool of people. Did they question the family members? Or just the people who were the least tied, the least connected to the Bidens? And then when it turned out that none of them could be tied to the cocaine, it was like, we better stop investigating before we actually figure out that it was one of the Bidens, that it was Hunter Biden's cocaine. We don't want that. So wrap the investigation up after 11 days. Nothing to see here. They are still investigating the pipe bombs. Okay. After years have gone by, they're still investigating who left those pipe bombs there on January 6th of 2021. Okay. And yet, July of this year, cocaine is found in the White House. 11 days later. Oh, that's the end of it. No actual end in sight, since they couldn't tell us anything. They wouldn't tell us anything, despite having told us that they would be able to. Red flags, indeed. On July 12, the Secret Service received the FBI's laboratory results, which did not develop latent fingerprints, and insufficient DNA was present for investigative comparisons. Therefore, the Secret Service is not able to compare evidence against the known pool of individuals. The FBI's evaluation of the substance also confirmed that it was cocaine. Well, duh. I also missed a couple of sentences up here. This review included a backwards examination that spanned several days prior to the discovery of the substance and developed an index of several hundred individuals who may have accessed the area where the substance was found. I read that. The part I missed was the focal point of these actions developed a pool of known persons for comparison of forensic evidence gleaned from the FBI's analysis of the substance's packaging. Think of that what you may. There was no surveillance video footage found that provided investigative leads or any other means for investigators to identify who may have deposited the found substance in this area. Without physical evidence, the investigation will not be able to single out a person of interest from the hundreds of individuals who passed through the vestibule where the cocaine was discovered. At this time, the Secret Service's investigation is closed due to a lack of physical evidence. The U.S. Secret Service takes its mission to protect U.S. leaders' facilities and events seriously, and we are continually or constantly adapting to meet the needs of the current and future security environment are they? So what changes have they made? I would like to know that. I would like for a member of the press corps to ask them that. In light of the fact that cocaine was discovered in the White House, which could have been any other form of powder, hazardous material, and you couldn't ever figure out who did it, who did it. What do you have to say for yourselves? What changes? What concerns do you have? Bet they don't have much to say about that. First photos reveal the cocaine found in the White House, images of the baggie and cubbyhole that sparked White House investigation, and the culprit has still not been found. We know all this. Uncovered photos through a Freedom of Information Act, the FOIA Act. Well, the FOIA request. Bag of illicit drugs was found in a cubby on July 2. July 2, to be specific. Enforced an evacuation. Kind of a big deal, right? Like when Jamal Bowman pulled the fire alarm. Kind of a big deal, right? If something causes an evacuation, seems like it could be considered a big deal. The FBI and Secret Service investigated, but a culprit has never been found. And they decided they didn't want to ask around anymore. After 11 days, Deputy Director of the FBI was dragged into the 11-day probe. Yeah, not a whole lot of dragging there. Well, maybe some dragging of the feet. Photos of cocaine found in a phone locker in President Joe Biden's White House this summer can be revealed by DailyMail.com for the first time. And my apologies for not being on the ball with this story. I'm multiple days late. The Secret Service included images of the bag of white powder that was found in a cubbyhole used to store personal belongings near the White House's West Executive entrance in response to a Freedom of Information Act request. Cocaine was found in locker number 50 on Sunday, July 2, while the Biden family, including son Hunter, was spending the weekend away at Camp David ahead of the 4th of July holiday. Very festive time. So I could see why someone might want a little pick-me-up in their pocket. Or in the locker, ultimately. But yes, the Biden family, including Hunter Biden, went from the White House to Camp David, and then the following Tuesday, I believe, they returned to the White House. The discovery prompted an evacuation of the West Wing and street closures surrounding the White House, and then triggered an 11-day investigation once the substance was identified as an illicit drug. Documents obtained by DailyMail.com also show the Deputy Director of the FBI, Paul Abate, was involved in the investigation, which clouded the Biden administration and scandal this summer. So if you think the Biden administration is on their best behavior, as opposed to the Trump administration, think again. There was no cocaine found in the White House during Trump's administration, although he did have a Diet Coke button. And I suppose that could be code for cocaine. Diet cocaine. He had a Diet Cocaine button. Nah, I'm just kidding. Locker 50 there. I'm not going to count all those lockers, but that's what they were dealing with. The set of lockers near the White House's West Executive entrance where the cocaine was found on July 2. And the reports varied initially on the location of the cocaine. No, there were all kinds of different reports and claims being made about it being found here. Oh, wait, no, it was found over there. Oh, wait, no. So, we'll just go with what this article has to say, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if there are twists and turns which we don't even know about. The Secret Service closed the investigation in less than 2 weeks due to a lack of evidence. The list of suspects had been narrowed down to 500, but security footage wasn't able to determine the owner, as cameras do not face the locker area. So I would be interested to know who were among those 500 suspects. Were any of the Bidens among those 500 suspects? It is very possible. And could it be that they started interviewing, and as they ran out of non-Biden, non-family members to interview, they thought, oh, we better call it quits. Sneaking suspicion, like I said. It is unclear if any suspects were interviewed during the short investigation. Well, they're really not saying much then, are they? Lockers aren't assigned to specific personnel, a source familiar with the setup told dailymail.com, but instead, guests can choose a locker to use and then take a key. They are used by people who are outside visitors to the West Wing, not White House or executive office or of the president's staff. Executive office of the president's staff. Sorry, my throat is bothering me. Your face is bothering me. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. I can't see your face. You can see mine, though. My face is probably bothering you, for that matter. The same source also said that someone taking a tour was the likeliest culprit because anyone with a familiarity of the White House would know that there's a bathroom steps away where the contraband could have been flushed. Well, clearly someone didn't want to flush it. Documents obtained by dailymail.com include updates in real time, like the description that a 1x1 bag of white powdery substance was found near where pass holders put their phones when going into the... And then something that has been redacted here. Can't tell you what that sentence ends. How that sentence ends. Another document said that the individual who found the cocaine was confident it was drug-related. Secret Service officials noted that the president was at Camp David and Vice President Kamala Harris was in Los Angeles at the time of the discovery. Well, it couldn't have been Kamala Harris. She only smokes pot. While listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac. There is no reported media coverage of this incident at this time, an initial Secret Service document says. There was a scanner recording at the time. It's part of the reason why this news story broke in the first place. I wonder if they would have kept it on the low even more so. Although when there is an evacuation of any sort, they kind of have to say why. Once news reports came out about the incident, the documents show Secret Service officials having back and forth with reporters over whether the powder was cocaine. Secret Service also had to set the record straight on where it was found, as early reports about the incident said the cocaine was discovered in the White House library, then the White House West Wing lobby, then finally the cubbies by the West Executive entrance. An initial test conducted by D.C. Fire's hazmat team came back positive for opioids and amphetamines, while the Secret Service's first tests were inconclusive. They are likely going with what they got from D.C. Fire. I can only speak to what the Secret Service is doing, and we've sent it in for formalized testing. Not to say that D.C. Fire is incorrect, but we have a different process. Secret Service's communications chief says in an email amid a barrage of media requests, which have since disappeared. And as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, there have been no questions about this FOIA request finding the photos since this article was published the other day. The FBI then became involved. At the request of the Secret Service's executive leadership, a document said, and sent the sample to a lab at Quantico. White House cocaine search. First location, library. Okay, a little bit of a map here. How things were being reported. Location, location, location. Photos you've already seen. No need to linger. Behind the scenes, there appeared to be tension over that move. A redacted email on July 10 was headed, "Clear the air." Or like, clear the airways. As in the nose. In it, an official wrote the substance was not at the National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasure Center, which defends the U.S. against biological threats, and instead was at Quantico. The official wrote, "Special Agent, redacted, is still waiting for the final lab report and authorization to have the items sent back to D.C. from his higher-ups, who are supposedly talking with USS Secret Service 8th floor staff. Documents marked Thermo Fisher Scientific show a more thorough test came back positive for cocaine, sodium bicarbonate, and caffeine. The FBI's evaluation of the substance also confirmed that it was cocaine, a Secret Service release said. However, the FBI's analysis of fingerprint or DNA evidence on the dime-sized zipper lock bag came back without a culprit. Ownership of persons, or shall I say ownership or persons responsible for the initial placement of the item within the West Wing of the White House complex on July 2 of 2023 could not be determined utilizing DNA or latent print retrieval methods, said a Secret Service statement on July 13, which I've already shared with you. The Secret Service said the cocaine was sent for destruction on July 14, a day after the probe wrapped up. Destruction. Where's that lab? Hunter Biden's house? Which is probably in Joe Biden's house? I joke, I kid. But I don't snort. A White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre's initial response to questions about whether the cocaine could belong to a Biden came in the form of pointing out that they weren't home. They weren't there at the time. Oh, it couldn't have possibly been left there by them. Hunter Biden couldn't have possibly left it before going to Camp David so he could retrieve it when he was going back. Let's see here. Documents. Thermo Fisher Scientific. Thank you for contacting Thermo Scientific. Reach back support. Sample information. White powder. So, testing results. You've already seen some of that. No need to play that. President Joe Biden and his family, including a recovering addict Hunter, hosted a 4th of July celebration at the White House 2 days after the cocaine was discovered. And that's when a video of Hunter Biden wiping his nose and doing what he does was making his rounds. That's not proof of anything. It's just that some people were saying, it looks like he reached into his pocket and then snorted something. Huh. Doesn't prove anything. And I'm not suggesting that this was something that belonged to the Bidens. I'm suggesting that it could have been, right? She, being KJP, then lashed out at a reporter who asked, 5 days after the discovery, if she could say once and for all that the baggie didn't belong to a Biden family member. You know, there has been some irresponsible reporting about the family, and so I've got to call that out here. I've got to call it out. Calling you out. The press secretary said. The propaganda secretary said. And I have been very clear. Whenever she uses the phrase very clear, it's because she hasn't actually been very clear. I've noticed that. And she uses that expression a lot. I was clear 2 days ago. The Biden family was not here. They were not here. They were at Camp David. She continued. Yeah, that they were at the White House, and then they left. She thinks we're stupid. Really, it's her. Don't tell her I said that. They were not here Friday. They were not here Saturday. They were not here Sunday. Actually, they were there Friday. They were there Friday morning, and then they left. Went to Camp David, and then came back for the 4th of July festivities. They were not even here Monday. They came back here on Tuesday. Yes, they did. Had a grand old time. The questions were asked because Hunter Biden wrote an entire memoir about his battle with drug and alcohol abuse, which included descriptions of heavy cocaine use. First daughter Ashley Biden has also struggled with drug use and been to rehab facility. The president ignored shouted questions about the cocaine discovery on several occasions. In the days following the discovery, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan suggested a construction worker could have brought in the cocaine, as it was found near the Situation Room, which was undergoing renovations at the time. Throw the construction workers under the bus, why don't you? Oh, it could have been. Yeah, it could have been brought in by Hunter or Ashley Biden as well. Couldn't it? I would make a point about the Situation Room because I think there's been a lot of questionable reporting on this, Sullivan said at a July 7 briefing. The Situation Room is not in use and has not been in use for months because it is currently under construction. We are using an alternative Situation Room in the Eisenhower Executive Office building. So the only people coming in and going out of the Situation Room in this period have been workers who are getting it ready to go, he added. And speaking of going, I have to go to bed and rest my weary head. And recharge whatever amount of brain power I have left. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I didn't intend to spend that much time rambling on and on about the cocaine found in the White House, but I enjoyed it somewhat. Hope you did too. Peace.